What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am here to do two looks with the Norvina mini cherry palette that just came out this week. Out of all of the Norvina mini palettes, this is the one I have been most stoked for, and I'm really excited to create some looks with it today. If you don't know by now, teals and reds in general are like one of my favorite color combinations. It's like one of those color combinations that just like makes my heart leap out of my chest at the thought of it, you know what I mean? It can take on so many different moods and so many different vibes, and oh, I'm just a huge fan, so I'm really pumped to dive into this today. As always, I'll timestamp each look down below. I will list and link all of the products that I used besides the palette in the description. Those of you waiting for book club, the week of February 9th is when we will be discussing the next book. I pushed it a few extra days because a few of you told me that you were running behind and having a hard time catching up. So the week of February 9th, I'm not sure if it will be on Monday, but most likely it will. That is when we will be discussing Cold Falling White, and if you want to know more about that, I will leave it in the description down below as well. Before we get into it, don't forget to leave a like on this video because it's very helpful to your friend Nicole. And if you're like fairly new around here and you just haven't felt the need to subscribe yet, but you've been thinking about it, think of this as your sign to do so. I want you here. I want you to be here with me. I want to hang out. I want to talk about makeup all the time, and I would love to have you around. That's it. That's all we had to get out of the way. So let's just jump into look number one with the Norvina Mini Cherry Palette, or Norvina Mini Volume 3. So this is the Norvina Mini Cherry Palette. When this was announced on the Norvina page and the Trend Mood page, literally like, I think it was about 10 people within the first few hours sent me a DM to show it to me, to tell me that I needed to buy it, to tell me that I needed to do looks with it. One of you even said that it was me as a palette. So obviously, these are very me colors. I'm definitely excited to play with these today. I didn't realize until I've turned the palette a little bit, but this has like a lot of green shimmer in this one. It looks delightful. Delicious. Like the rest of the Norvina palettes, these shades are coded by the row and the number in the row. So I'm going to start with the shade C3. Picking that up on a BH number 6 brush, I'm going to go right into that bright pinkish red and start working it through my crease. Ooh, that's like a bright watermelon-y shade. Yes, ma'am. Ooh, I love that. I'm just going to blend the edges of that with a clean brush, as one does. Next, I'm going to grab a MAC 221 and I'm going to go into shade B1. I just put my fingernail right into C3 and dented it before I ever got to dip into it, and I hate that. I'm just going to run that through the crease and deepen it up, make it a little more rich, a little bit more red. And I'm going to put a little bit of that on the outer corner. Okay, I just want to point out before I move on to the next step that for some reason on this eye, in my crease, in the camera, I'm looking at like, I have my little monitor thing down here. It looks like I'm like getting patchiness right in the crease area, but this is one of those situations where I don't see that patchiness in person at all. I can see that like maybe there's a little tiny bit of sheerness there, but realistically it's like barely detectable, and on the monitor it looks crazy. So do with that information what you will. I'm going to go into the shade C1 on a small pencil brush. I'm going to pack that on the outer corner and also through the crease again, bringing it up a little bit higher than the natural crease, of course. All the blending I did to compensate for that patchy spot actually kind of wound up getting the eyeshadow way farther down to my lid than I wanted it to be. So I'm going to take a makeup wipe and wipe away some of the color that got onto my lid, and I'll just reprime that. Sometimes even if you cut the crease, if you have so much shadow on there, it just winds up making it look a little bit muddy, and that's not necessary, so we can fix. Going back into B1, just gonna put a little bit more of that on the outer corner. I'm gonna take a little bit of my ABH eye primer, which is what I've been using for this look, which maybe is not a great idea because I have used this before and not loved it, but I've been trying to give it a second chance because Alexandra Anele, who I absolutely adore, she uses it to do the photos that she creates for the Pat McGrath like promo pictures, and those look fucking perfect. So if she's using it for those, like maybe I'm just like maybe I'm just not appreciating it. So I'm trying to like appreciate it more. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm gonna cut my crease with it and everything. Taking that on my NABLA cut crease brush, I'm gonna cut a whole inner half, but I may indeed wind up covering the inner corner cut portion. I'm not sure yet. On my MAC 242, I'm going to go into A1. I'm going to use that on the inner portion because I want it to be really light, and that's the lightest shade in here. Just cleaning off that same brush, I'm going to go into the shade B3 and go back and forth between those two shades to blend them together a little. And go back with my MAC 221 again and back into C3 and just tap some of that in there to blend it all together and make it more one, make it all mesh into some pinky goodness. All right, I concealed and what have you, and for the lower lash line, I'm going to pick up my BH number 7, and I'm going to go back into C3. So far, C3 is my absolute favorite shade in this palette. I've only used about half of them, but this one's really talking to me right now. Just tap a little bit of that off the brush so we don't have too much, and just sweep it under those lower lashes. And blend the edge with a clean brush as usual. For the waterline, I'm going to grab that Cherry Punk Fenty eyeliner that I used 2 videos ago that I really like. I'm just going to run that right through the waterline. I think this might be my favorite red eyeliner I've ever had. It's so creamy, and I wore it for many hours the other day, and it stayed on beautifully. I wasn't as crazy about the black one that I bought, but this one is the shit. And now for like that little twist, a little something, the little sprig of mint. Oh, it's not mint. It's not mint at all. But if it was a drink, it would be the sprig of mint. Do you follow what I'm saying? It's stupid. It's a stupid analogy. I'm going to go into the Shimmering Blue A3 on a Luxe 141 mini, and I'm going to use this as a pop of color on the inner corner. This might cover some of the structure of the cut crease on the inner corner, but that's okay with me. I'm going to keep it on the smaller side depending on how it looks when I get in there, and then I'll determine like how much of this I want as I kind of add it to the look and assess the situation. I put on Iconic Luxe, and right now I'm like in this place with this makeup look where I really like the idea, but I feel like either something's off with the shadows or something's off with my execution of it, and I really believe that it's because like I am in the deep throes of PMS right now. Do you ever just like when you're PMSing just feel like nothing you do, nothing you say, nothing you touch, even like your clothes, there's like everything doesn't feel right no matter what you do? That is where I'm at right now. I don't even know who I am anymore. So I'm gonna allow myself to try to be satisfied with this, even though I feel like I could sit here and blend it for like another 3 years, although I am gonna fix this one little piece on this inner corner right here because that is going to annoy me. For the lip, I want to keep it very simple with this look because there's a lot of color going on in the eyes and I don't want to shift the focus away from that. So I'm going to pick up this pencil. This is from Melt Cosmetics. It's very new to me. I have not used their pencils before. This week, Melt was kind enough to send me over a big box of their stuff that I haven't tried. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that I'm basically a Melt Cosmetics stan account at this point. So I like lost my mind with joy, and I wore one of the lip liners yesterday and I was really into it. So I want to try one of the other colors today. This is the color, hello, what's your name, new friend? This is the color Modest. I'm gonna go ahead and line my lips with this. I'm gonna fill them in and like kind of buff the color in with my finger and then maybe throw a gloss over the top, but I haven't decided yet, so we'll see when we get there. And this is the first look. I just realized right now that I didn't say this before I applied it, but the gloss that I used for that lip look was the BUXOM Full On Lip Polish in the shade Dominique. This reminds me quite a bit of Fenty Diamond Milk, but it's a little bit more sheer and it's got a little bit of a plumper and I really like it a lot. All right, for look number 2, I'm gonna start with B2, which is this pale blue shade. I'm a little bit emotionally scarred from the pastel blues in the Morphe Icy palette, so I'm like really hoping that this works out right now. Also, before we get started on this look, I just wanted to show you guys what I did. I accidentally got this shade a little bit wet. Like I must have still had some brush cleaner on my brush. So there was like a film over it. And then I went to scrape the top off just to like make sure I could use it again. And I just made such a mess of it. And it's so gross. And I'm quite frankly very annoyed with myself about it. I take my beach number 6. I'm gonna go into B2 and I'm gonna start working with that through the crease area and bring it up pretty high. Oh, and I also primed with the Urban Decay Eden Primer Potion. That's what a pastel blue should look like. Thank you. Thank you. I can't find my Sigma E36 brush right now, and quite frankly, I don't know how to function without it, but I'm going to try my best. So this is the NABLA Pointed Crease Brush. I'm gonna go into C2. I'm going to take that color, I'm going to bring it through the crease. Ooh, that's pretty, and those blend really nice together. Okay, hello. I'm also going to put that on the outer corner. I'm going to take my BH number 7, just a smaller version of the 6 pretty much, and I'm going to go back into B2, just add a little bit more of that to the edge, just to add some of that blueness back where we lost some of it in the blending process. I got a lot of extra shadow, like in here, but that's okay. I'm gonna get rid of that before the time is too late. What does that mean? But I'm not gonna worry about that right now. I can just get rid of it when I need to. Go back into B2 again on a flat shading brush, and I'm gonna pop that in the center of the lid where it's still a little bit open, and just kind of blend it into the greens on the lid as well. Now that these nice soft pastels are down, I want to add a little bit of structure to the look, and also I'm going to add a little bit of like an element of detail. What I want to do is put down a nice thick black wing, but I also want to do something we've done before on this channel, which is add some crystals to the black winged liner. So I'm going to do the crystals after, but first, before I like do underneath my eyes and stuff, I want to put the wing on so I don't have to like mess up my under eyes to get the wing in place. Also, if anybody's keeping track, my smoothie today is much better than the one I had the other day. You know, I think the key is don't skip the banana. I thought that I could get away with making the exact same smoothie without any fruit in it, and you know what? I was just wrong. You need the fruit. The fruit's the part that makes it not taste like caca. I'm going to use my Urban Decay Perversion liquid liner. I finally got a new one. It's not all splayed out and crushed. Once I put the wings on, I went ahead and concealed and powdered so that way we can move on to the lower lashes. I had debated whether I want to do like a color blocking sort of a technique with this look, where I did the blues and greens on top and then did something with the reds again on the bottom. But now that I'm seeing how soft and pretty these blues and greens look together, I kind of want to continue with that theme. We can bring in an element of red elsewhere. So I'm going to go back into B2, this time on the BH number 7, and I'm going to start sweeping that underneath the lower lashes. I feel like we could get away with plenty of it because it's so soft and pretty, but also like still looks going to be like, ooh, look how much blue, it's so blue. You know what I mean? I'm going to go back into C2, this time on a lash line smudger brush. I'm just going to smudge it in the lash line. Who would have thought?
Not me.
And blend it again with the blue on the BH number 7. For the waterline, I'm going to pick up ColourPop ZULU and just run that through. I think that'll be a really nice complement to those shades. For the inner corner, first I'm going to go into A1 because I want the base to be very bright. So I'm going to pop that right on the inner corner over those other shades. Brightens it up a little bit, adds a little bit of a pink shift, just generally makes it a little bit more interesting, I think. And while we're at it, on my LUXE 111 Mini, I'm going to go into A2, which is the one that's a little bit glittery and has that pink to green shift in it. I think that will complement this combination really well. I'm just going to push that on the inner corner too. Just a little bit, like I don't want it to be over the top. I just want like a little pop. Okay, now it's time to apply the gems to the liner. And so basically I have this set of flat back gems. I find mine on Amazon. It will link the ones that I use from Amazon down below because every time I do this, you guys ask, because it is kind of hard to find good ones that aren't super expensive, and I do like these. So what I like to do, what I'm going to explain first, because I can't talk and place things carefully at the same time. I just can't do it. I like to start with the largest one, and I place it at basically the widest portion of the liner, and then I just pick smaller ones and taper that down and place them as it makes sense. I'm going to place a little bit of the House of Lashes clear glue first. I'm going to pick up each stone with a wax pencil. I'm just going to place it where I want it. Okay, so to tie in the color theme of this palette, I do want to do a red lip with this, and surprise, surprise, I want to use my Fenty Uncensored lip paint because it's my favorite, and it gives like that little like updated sort of pinup vibe to a lot of looks, which I think goes really well with this, goes really well with the theme of the palette and the branding that they did for the palette. Miss Norvina looked so cute in the promo photos. I loved it. But because I'm dying to try more of the Melt lip products that I have here, I'm also going to line my lip with their all day everyday lip pencil in the color Ambrosia. Oh, and for the lashes, I put on the House of Lashes Iconic Luxe. I also use House of Lashes Precious Bottom Lash. And this is the second look. Now that I've done 2 looks with this mini palette, I have some thoughts. The second look was the easiest, most flawless application of pastels I think I've had in a very long time. I would say that the pastel blues and greens in this are even slightly better than the pastel blues and greens in the Mint to Be palette, which I was really, really impressed with. They are so far light years ahead of the Morphe 35i. It's almost hard to believe that they're both eyeshadow. It's like hard to believe they're even meant to be the same product. I did have a little bit of patchiness in the first look with those reds, but because I was using the Anastasia primer, which I have had some trouble with using before, I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt because the colors in the second look performed flawlessly. So I'm willing to bet that that's probably what happened. I am going to go ahead and use those colors in a look again just for like my casual day-to-day life, and I will update you guys on my thoughts on that on my Instagram story. But as it stands right now, I'm pretty sure it was the primer. Now, I always say I don't like to blame the performance of eyeshadows on a specific primer, but because I have used that primer with quite a few different types of shadows and have had trouble with a lot of different shadows that normally work well for me because of the primer, I'm willing to make an exception because I really just think that one just doesn't work for me. Alexandra, how do you make it look so good? As far as the Norvina mini palettes in general are concerned, this one is by far my favorite so far. I loved the big Norvina palettes, but I was like just okay with the first 2 minis. This one is fantastic. I really like it a lot. So one thing that a few of you guys asked me about was, do I think it compares to the Melt Muerte palette? My answer is sort of. The overall idea is similar in that there are these blues and greens contrasted against these deep, pretty cherry reds, but the overall vibe of these 2 palettes is very different. I feel like the shades in here kind of create more of like a cutesy, pin-up, sort of light, almost springtime vibe, and the ones in here, because there are so many darker shades and there are some deep blues and stuff added, and just in general the shades read a little bit darker on the eyes. This is upside down, but this definitely has more of like an edgy feel with a very similar color combination, if that makes sense. Of the 2 of them, Muerte is still like where my bread is buttered. This is one of my favorite palettes of the year, but the color stories do overlap at least a little bit. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you picked this palette up, if this color story appeals to you, which one of the Norvina palettes has been your favorite so far. I would love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed the looks, if you just enjoyed watching, if you just enjoyed hanging out with me today, or if you just feel like throwing me a bone because it's helpful. I would really appreciate it. And also, if you are new around here and you want to go ahead and subscribe, you know what? I'm not going to argue with you, you know? I'm not going to tell you not to do that. As a matter of fact, I do encourage that behavior. If you find yourself wanting to keep up with me between videos, I'm at Miss Quinface on Instagram. I post over there fairly regularly, not as regularly as I used to, but my stories are updated all the time. We talk about things over there, give each other suggestions, ideas for this channel, just general good old times, and I would love to have you. I think that brings us to the end of today's video. So thank you guys, as always, for taking the time, spending a few minutes talking makeup and hanging out today. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you in the next one.